Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today we're going to talk about the milestone that our firm recently achieved, which is recovering over $14 million in settlements and verdicts for our clients in bedbug cases. So I've been an attorney for about 10 years. A large part of my practice is filing lawsuits involving bedbugs, bedbug bites, property damage. And recently we hit the milestone of recovering over $14 million. And that amount was written about in an article by the Maryland Daily Record, among kind of a feature story about our firm doing bedbug cases. So one of the ways that we've been able to recover a significant amount of money for our clients is that we file a lot of lawsuits. Now, you might think to yourself, why is it important to file lawsuits? Can't you just write a letter and get an insurance adjuster on the line and work something out and do it that way? That's not really what we do here. So what we've learned over the years is that in order to get a large settlement or even a reasonable settlement, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you've got to file a lawsuit. And the reason that you got to file a lawsuit is if you don't file a lawsuit, whatever the company is that you're trying to negotiate with and recover compensation from is most likely not going to take you seriously. Without a lawsuit, there is no urgency, there is no deadline, there is no expenses that they now have to incur, whether it is filing an insurance claim, so their insurance lawyers who are provided by the insurance company can mount a defense. There's a cost involved, at least with a deductible, and perhaps they may need to pay for their own attorneys if they don't have insurance, although most companies we deal with do have insurance. And also, what else happens when a lawsuit is filed is a tremendous amount of information comes out that would not otherwise be available if you just wrote a letter and essentially crossed your fingers and hoped that they would throw some money at whatever case you were bringing. So one of the important things about filing lawsuits is the discovery process. So what is the discovery process? In civil litigation, simply meaning when you file a lawsuit to recover compensation or to have something, to make something happen, as opposed to the criminal justice system, in civil litigation, there's a process called discovery, and it essentially consists of depositions where the attorneys take turns questioning fact witnesses or the plaintiffs or the defendants or expert witnesses to ask questions and figure out what this person is going to say at trial and what they have to say, what they know. Also see what they're going to lie about. There's also a lot of lying that goes on in civil litigation. And the written discovery process, which is primarily consists of answers to interrogatories and requests for production of documents. So we propound or send the discovery request to the other side, and we get all the information. Now, in the context of bedbug litigation, what we get that is so helpful to eventually recovering a large amount of compensation is we get the records for the pest control in whatever sort of facility we're suing, whether it's a hotel, an apartment, a vacation rental, or perhaps a furniture store selling infested furniture. That's important because what that does is it gives us the ability to create a timeline and show the fact finder, who's going to be the judge and jury, or the jury, to show the fact finder that not only did whatever the facility did, perhaps put a guest in a infested hotel room or put a tenant into an infested apartment, but what it does is we're able to show that not only did they do it to this person, but they had this huge problem. They never treated it right along the way. And so really this case is about a lot more than just somebody spent a night or moved into an apartment and had a bad experience for a little while. This is about a management company or a property owner or landlord that simply did not take the time, energy, or money to do the right thing over an extended period of time. Perhaps they ignored complaints, because we'll get the complaints too. And what it does is we're able to paint a picture of the whole scene. And what we found is being able to paint that picture is far more effective. It takes a lot more time, but it's far more effective than simply saying at this point in time, something happened, somebody was bit by bed bugs, send a letter and just send a little bit of money over. We found it's much more effective to file the lawsuit. A good example of that is we had a case involving a bed bug infestation at a hotel, which will remain unnamed pursuant to the confidentiality agreement. And a woman had spent the night in town on business, had gotten bitten badly. So we filed, or she tried to resolve it herself, as a lot of people do. It's often unsuccessful, or they'll give you pennies on the dollar. But she tried to resolve it herself, and she was offered nothing. So she hires us, and we file a lawsuit. And an adjuster gets involved and says, we'll give you $1,000. We don't think this is that big a deal. We deny we had bed bugs in the room, even though she, of course, had photographs of bed bugs. Adjusters often take extreme positions that don't seem to make sense in an effort to avoid their insured being held responsible. And we'll give you $1,000. We don't think it's worth anything. So we went through the discovery process. We discovered the history of infestation, the history of improper treatment. Took some depositions, figured out who was telling the truth, who was lying, what they're lying about, how are they going to look to a jury who's hearing this story. And at the end of the day, we settled it for $100,000. So that actually happens quite a bit, in that you get a lowball offer when you start, or if you write a letter, and then you litigate, you discover more information, and of course the entire picture begins to be painted, and that often leads to a much better result, whether it's a settlement or in some cases we go to court and try a jury and recover a verdict. So that's a brief explanation of largely how we do what we do and why we have seen some success in this. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you've been bitten by bed bugs in Maryland, we primarily handle cases in Maryland. Please feel free to reach out to us, 410-583-8000, or visit our website, whitneyfirm.com. If you'd like to see videos on any other matters involving bed bugs, just leave a comment and I will make a video about that if I can. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and take care.